Okay, what is up, guys? Thursday, August the 18th, 2022. Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Thank y'all so much again for tuning in. We are taking your questions, your comments, and your calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let's see. I see Jason, Jimmy, Stephen Boardwell Jr., Noah Johns, Travi, Jason Derrick, Gad, my guy Jimmy Mendio, what's going on? Appreciate y'all. Also those in the Big Cock Club Discord in our TDC Questions channel. What's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. I already see Craig Phillips typing away. Them fingers are moving here on a Thursday afternoon. Cocky Twan, what's up? What's up? Appreciate you all tuning in. Very exciting show. Lot to get into here on this Thursday. As you can see, of course, we are still playing around with the camera, if you will. Something I'll probably take a lot more time to take care of over the weekend. We're going to play around with the setup in here as well. I've got some ideas. In regards to the way I want things set up in here for our TDC studio. Stephanie Lee, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Thank y'all so much again for the love and support. Very exciting day. Very, very exciting day for sure. Very exciting day for sure. Again, want to hear from you. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let's see. We got the Clemsucks fans. We got the Clemsucks fans ruffled already today on Twitter. Let's see. John Edward. Okay, Deshaun Watson suspension raised from 11 games, or raised up to 11 games from 6 games. How about that? Did not know that. Taylor Novinger says, let's jump into the questions. Worried about Marshawn Lloyd. Saw a pic today. He did not look good at all. What picture, Taylor, are you referring to? I didn't see that. I did see where Marshawn, we actually pulled this from, let's see. We pulled this from the State's article. It says, Marshawn Lloyd continued to work back from the foot injury that held him out of last week's scrimmage, working off the side with trainers while his right ankle was heavily taped. So, right ankle heavily taped. I don't know. I don't know, man. We will see. I feel confident again. Shane, we were saying he will be fine, but it's crazy, dude. It's crazy that Marshawn Lloyd just can't catch a break. I don't know what it is, man. Marshawn Lloyd just, because it's crazy. Even if he is 110% come kickoff, and that's totally fine and great and dandy, it's like, dude, why can't he just go through a preseason camp and stay healthy? You know what I mean? Just stay healthy. Apparently, though, yeah, Christian Beal-Smith's in a boot right now. He should be fine also. But apparently, Lavassier Carroll been working at RB1 in the meantime, which I think is really, really interesting. So, we'll see how it plays out, guys. We'll see how it plays out. Again, appreciate you all tuning in, guys. Really exciting Thursday here on this Thursday, August the 18th. Of course, tonight, guys, the TSUS Tour rolls on as we are at Carolina Ale House in Augusta, Georgia. Carolina Ale House, Augusta. Everything gets going at 6 o'clock. Of course, I will have the towels and koozies on sale. We'll do a Q&A at 7 or 7:30 or so. Also, guys, on today's TDC, we've got J.C. Sherbert joining us around 1:15. He'll be on for about 20 or 30 minutes or so. Really exciting recruiting day, of course, as Xavier McLeod will pick. He will make his decision tonight at 6:30. Feeling pretty confident on the Gamecock side of things that they will land him, but I can't wait to get his thoughts. Also, Nicholas Harbor, the 5-star, the #1 prospect in recruiting. He has set his official visit date for September the 17th. And yes, that is the weekend the Gamecocks play the Georgia Bulldogs. So could be a huge weekend. You feel good getting them on campus for an official visit. You feel like, hey, maybe you got a shot. The latest that we're hearing, it doesn't sound like Carolina's the favorite to land him. But, dude, either way, you know what? All you can do is give yourself a chance, and you're in the conversation with the kid. That's really all that matters. So, exciting stuff happening. I want to hear from you, 790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Let's see. Luke RJ, what's up, Luke? He says these small injuries is why Shane Beamer has like 8 running backs on the roster. Yeah. No, I mean, you need a lot of them for sure. I mean, it's funny. I was picking around saying, why are we signing 17 running backs? So Luke RJ, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe you're right. John Edward, how long of a drive? So I'm actually stopping by Columbia first. So we got about an hour and 40 minutes to Columbia and then an hour and 10 minutes from Columbia to the location in Augusta. So I'm leaving literally immediately after this. I was going to say this, by the way, too. My folks who listen to the Daily Crow podcast, I want to go ahead and apologize to you because I have to get on the road after this. I will not be able to upload the podcast of this until later today, if not tonight. So I guess if you listen on podcast form, you're not going to hear me because this won't be uploaded. But for those of you all tuned in right now, any of you who may go back and listen to the podcast, please forgive me. We have to get on the road. I've got to get on the road to get there by 5:15 or so we can set up and be ready. Maybe when I get to Carolina Ale House, I'll have some time to do that, upload that, do the show. Also, I know Luke RJ is probably wondering, but Behind the Beak has been recorded on this guy. It's been recorded. I've just got to sit down and upload the video and save all that, export that, all that good stuff. So that will be coming out in the next couple of days. Obviously, I'm not going to say today because we're super, super busy, got a lot going on. But I would probably say over the weekend, maybe Sunday, probably Sunday I'll upload it. Going to be a little bit of a different Behind the Beak, a little bit shorter, if you will. Just something to sort of set the tone before we go into kickoff and go into football season. But Behind the Beak is coming. I didn't want you guys to think that it wasn't. And after this one, I'm going to set, like, what date are we going to drop it? I'm thinking Sundays, man, just because Sundays, those are the days that I have the most time to sit down and, like, chop up video and because, I mean, it's not that it's very hard. Honestly, making the vlog is not as hard as you would think, at least for me. It just can be tedious. That's the only thing. It just can be tedious. It's like, when do you have time to sit there for an hour and, like, chop it up, export it, upload it to YouTube, spread it to the masses? That's more so the pressing question. So, anyways, let's see. Jonathan Lee, his commitment is at 6:30. His commitment is at 6:30. 6:30 he will commit. Camden, South Carolina, Camden High School. Again, everything I've heard, I'm not going to sit here and spoil some kid's announcement, but it does sound. I am confident that South Carolina's in a good position to land him. AJ Bowers, Christian Bill Smith's in a boot. Are you worried, or do you think? Do you think it's something minor? According to Beamer, AJ, it's something minor, but it's something minor until we get to the week of the game or we get to kickoff and he can't go. So I think it's minor. It's something certainly that you need to follow along closely. But, I mean, we still got 15 days to kick off, man. So, you know, you hope, obviously, that he's going to be okay. I just say put all those dudes in bubble wrap, man, before the first game. Put them in bubble wrap. I don't know. Jesse Jacobs, why do you think it is Juju doesn't get the attention of RB1? I don't know. That's a great question. Apparently Labossiere was getting the carries at RB1 today with CBS and Lloyd out. I mean, dude, I think Juju's going to play a lot. I really do. I think Juju's going to play a lot. I don't think there's any, so I don't think there's any question there. He's going to play. So John Sorrell said, fair grade with the wide receivers. I agree with you. A high ceiling, but low floor. It's just, again, you have talent, but just a lot of unproven commodities. And talking to those behind the scenes, they feel confident with the depth of the room. The depth is better than it's been in a while, right? The depth is better than it has been in a while. But, it just, you still have question marks. I mean, when 2 of your top 3 guys are guys that were not even on the roster last year, right? Guys that were not even on the roster last year. it just there's questions. There's questions. So there's questions. Guys, again, taking your questions, your comments, your calls, 843-790-3377. In case you missed it, I do have a B minus. I do have a B minus for my grade. I have a B minus for the Gamecocks wide receivers. Yes, bubble wrap, Cocky Twine, bubble wrap. Jimmy Mendillo says, random, what's the status of those players who sat out because of COVID? Been meaning to ask you, Jimmy, what are you referring to specifically? Who sat out because of COVID? Like, I don't, like, and when did they sit out? What guys are you talking about? Because I'm not sure I'm familiar with who sat out with COVID. Jacob Rogers, tickets for 1801 now until Sunday. We should be able to pack the stands. It's for Georgia State and Mizzou. Yeah, dude, come on, buy them. $18 for a ticket, bro. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. You cannot beat that. $18 for a ticket. Get to the stadium if you can, folks. Get to the stadium if you can. Come by the tailgate. Come by the tailgate at Seawells. Come by the tailgate at Seawells. Jimmy Mendillo, he said, wasn't there a wide receiver and a D end who said, Jimmy, if there was, if anybody has set out for COVID in the last, since like last year, like Jimmy, I'm totally unfamiliar with it. So this is news to me, my friend. The only guys that I know that sat out in the scrimmage were guys injured. I don't know anything about anybody sitting out for COVID. I mean, are they, like, I'm not saying this to be ignorant. I'm really asking a question. Like, are they still testing for COVID the way they were? Like, I didn't even know they were. Like, I don't even think that's going to be a thing this year, that they're going to test that way. So, Jimmy, if there's guys that sat out because of COVID, I am just completely unfamiliar with it, and you're giving me news that I just did not know existed. So, you're giving me news I did not know existed. So, anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We are under the skin of the Clemson Slapdicks this morning. We are under the skin of the Clemson Slapdicks this morning. AJ Bauer says he got his tickets. Good, dude. Yeah, we're going to be there. I will be this weekend promoting the TSUS tailgate at Seawells once again. Going ahead and spreading. Go ahead and go spread the information. Get the information out to you guys. Really, really excited. Really, really excited. John says, assuming that we win week 1, what do you feel you need to see to feel confident about week 2 and 3? So that's the interesting thing, right? Because I don't know that it's wise to draw conclusions, right, from opening weekend. But at the same time, like, I think Georgia State is going to set the tone for Arkansas, which in turn is going to set the tone for Georgia, right? Like, it's important to, like, what I'll tell you this. What do I most to see? What do I most want to see? What do I most want to see in week 1? I want to see the offensive line play well. I mean, just bottom line. Like it doesn't matter to me even if we win by 3 touchdowns. If at the line of scrimmage, if we don't play well at the line of scrimmage against Georgia State, I will have no confidence going into Arkansas and Georgia. Just none. Just none. Because, guys, like, if it's same old, I'm not saying if you don't win by at least X amount of points, right? If you don't win by at least X amount of points, then you have no chance weeks 2 and 3. That's not what I'm saying, but, like, if you're not pushing them around to a degree up front, you know, we all know Georgia State ran the football extremely well last year. We all know that. If we can't stop the run with any sort of decency, then I mean, it's just going to be hard to convince me. It's going to be hard to convince me we have any shot in the next 2 weeks. Truly. Craig Phillips in the TDC Questions channel says, if Rattler has a good season, does that show other top quarterbacks that you can win here and possibly get a 5-star? Yes. I think the signing of Rattler is a very, very big deal for the Gamecocks football program, not just for what he does for this year, but for the future at that position. I mean, Rattler, if things go according to plan, will be the first quarterback drafted at South Carolina since the 1990 NFL draft when Todd Ellis was selected. I mean, think about how crazy it is. Erting Irie, Ranking at week 3 with a 3-0 record. Ranking at week 3 with a 3-0 record. If we were to start 3-0, we'd be 12th, 10th. I mean, we'd be damn near the top 10, truly. Rick Foreman says, limited playbook in week 1, so it's hard to assess how good we really are. You know, Rick, I hear you, right? I hear you. But at the same time, like, do you really – I mean, I'm not saying we're going to throw the kitchen sink out there and run everything we have in the playbook, but I don't think this is a game we should look at as like, well, let's hold some things back and save them for Arkansas and save them for Georgia. You better not have that mindset. You better not have that mentality. You better not, because Georgia State's coming in to win. They're coming in to win. So you need to just run whatever you need to run to go win the football game. Like I'm seeing people pick score predictions like 42-14 and 45-7 and 38-3. And I'm just like, guys, like, we're not playing EIU, man. We're playing a team with a pulse. We're playing a team that has beaten SEC teams before. So the spread in Vegas is 12 for a reason. I'm not saying that we shouldn't cover that spread, guys, but I'm just saying, like, you know, if we win by, I'll say you this, if we win by 17 or more, I'll be very pleased. I will be very, very pleased. I really will. Yeah, that's just my take on it. Like, if we won 31-14, I'd be ecstatic with that performance. I really would. I would be satisfied with that performance. On the flip side, how about Billy Thompson's question? If we lose to Georgia State, God forbid, if we lose to Georgia State, how badly does it hurt this program? What's so funny, by the way, shout out to Tim Hill and say thank you to Tim Hill. I appreciate him having me on his airwaves this morning. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun chatting with him. He brought this up. I was like, damn, Tim, trying to ruin my Thursday? He said, what if South Carolina loses to Georgia State? And Billy Thompson asked, if we lose to Georgia State, how badly does it hurt the program? I'm not going to say it wouldn't hurt. I'm not, because it more than anything will make us look like damn fools. It would. To get all this hype and energy and emotion and these expectations and this excitement only to come crashing down with a loss on your home field. It'd be embarrassing is what it'd be. I mean, you can say tip your cap to Georgia State, give them all the credit, but it'd be embarrassing. It'd be embarrassing, and it would be a back to the drawing board, fighting to get to 6 wins. Just praying to God we can somehow navigate to 6 wins. I don't see that happening, Billy, thankfully. I don't see that happening. I'll tell you this. I'll be totally frank and honest with you. If Spencer Rattler, this is the difference I think he makes. If Spencer Rattler wasn't this team's quarterback, I would not blame anyone for picking Georgia State as the sexy upset, the sexy upset pick, if I can say it out loud. The sexy upset pick. I wouldn't blame anybody for doing it. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening, guys. I really don't. I don't see that happening. So I don't think that's something you got to worry about, thankfully. Let's see. Travi says, interesting how our first 3 games are building blocks for the next one from medium hard to very hard. Yeah, for sure. And Travi, I'll tell you this, though. Listen, EIU was a great game 1 for the Shane Beamer era, right? It was a feel-good, warm and fuzzy feelings. EIU was never going to even give you a contest in that one. It was the type of game we needed to open up with. I am very glad this year, though, that we have someone that has a pulse. You know, like what did you learn last year from EIU? You didn't learn a damn thing. Now you've got an opponent who's going to give you a real challenge, right? They've got a pulse. They're going to make you sweat, guys. I think it's going to be close early. It's going to be close early. I mean, I see A.J. Bowers commenting, I want to see us blow them out in the first half and then maybe slow it some in the second half or just run the score up if it's possible. Well, A.J., we all want to see us win 50-0. Realistically, I think this is a 17-10, 17-13, 14-10 type game. I think it's a close game. I think there's very uncomfortable moments early. I absolutely do. Absolutely I do. Sean Elliott will have his team ready to play. And again, what's so intriguing about this football game is this. I love how we're already getting into the week one talk, by the way. I love that. I love that. I love that. What's so intriguing about it is this, though. The run defense will be tested. Just out the gate. We're going to know out the gate how that run defense is. Because guess what? Last year, we couldn't stop anybody when it came to run defense. Couldn't stop a soul. So, and we're talking about a Georgia State offense that ran for 227 or so yards per game. So, yeah. Billy Thompson says player of the game against Georgia State. I'll go, who do y'all think? I'll go Jaheim Bell. I'll go Jaheim Bell. By the way, guys, I'm still working through issues with the camera. Like I said, I'm gonna cut off autofocus whenever I this weekend or maybe tonight or something, because it's just every time I move, it's like refocusing. You can just see the camera like flicking, refocusing. So, John Sorrell says Tim Hill says 7-5 prediction with better quarterback play and a better team. How does that equal same number of wins for this season as last season? Well, John, see that is. People are having trouble. The math's not mathing for a lot of people. John, let me explain. I mean, John, a lot of folks are picking 7-5. Like basically everybody is picking 7-5. I ain't seeing many 9-3s or 10-2s out there, John. Have you? I mean, I'm on record at 8-4, but I was either going to pick 7-5 or 8-4. 7-5 is, dare I say, the safe pick. It's not a bad pick at all. Over under in Vegas is 6.5, John. 6.5. But people are getting, the math's not mathing because they say, well, you won 7 last year. How can you only win 7 this year? Well, guys, the transitive property doesn't work in college football. A plus B does not equal C in this game, right? Schedules change. Coaching staffs change. Personnel changes. Everything changes. The transitive property does not work. I mean, hell, if you want to break it down, look at South Carolina's schedule. You trade out Auburn for at Arkansas. Now you got Georgia State to open with instead of EIU, right? You still got to play Georgia, Clemson, and A&M. Will you get the same down-and-out Florida team that you got a season ago? No guarantee there. Yes, you were 9 points away from going 9-3 last year. You were also 11 points away from going 4-8. So I have no issues with the 7-5 picks, guys. We got better. So did a lot of other teams. A lot of other teams got better too. And you won 6 in the regular season last year. If you won 7 in the regular season, if you won an 8th in a bowl game, how could anybody deem that an unsuccessful year? How could anybody deem that a bad season? How could anybody do it? Right? I understand the people just, again, they get lost with this transitive property. Doesn't apply, guys. Doesn't apply. It doesn't apply. I will not fall into the camp of 7-5 would be a bad year. I will not fall in that camp. I will not. I will not fall in the camp of 7-5 is a failure. I refuse to fall into that camp. I really do. I understand it's not your typical year 2. I understand that. I understand that it's not your typical year 2. But you have to understand it is year 2. So I fear truly, I danced around it last week a little bit, but I'll just say it here. At the risk of killing some people's hopes and optimism and dreams, expecting 9-3 or 10-2 or God forbid better in year 2 is you are just setting yourself up for the worst type of heartache this season. And that's fine. As long as you know ahead of time, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But man, some of these people that have these wild expectations, they are going to come crashing down to reality, I fear, very, 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 very quickly. With that being said, you go beat Arkansas week 2. I guess who knows? Who knows? But I just unfortunately have, even if you beat Arkansas, man, like I just, the expectations are like 10 wins, for example. And again, that dude who I forget his name, I think he still follows us on social media. The guy that called into the show, I guess it was last week, and God, I forget his name. He was in my DMs. I don't know. Anyways, the guy that called in last week though, that was just going off about we should expect to win 10 or 11. Again, that is an example of a fan that thinks their opinions and their projections and their predictions have any impact on what happens on the field. And it doesn't. It doesn't. Guys, I could pick this team to go 12-0 every year and it wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. My predictions don't matter. Your predictions don't matter. Win or lose, good or bad. Yes, JC Sherbert joining us today at 1:15. 1:15 he'll join us. Yes. Yes, 1:15. Let's see. T-Man, 7-5 be excellent. Bull win 8-5 be awesome. I agree. Billy Thompson, if we go 6-6, is it somewhat of a failure season? Failure season's harsh. Failure season's harsh. If you go 6-6, though, with all the additions, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I won't come down on any Gamecock fan. I'll be disappointed, guys. Because I say all that to everything I said to inject perspective, but guys, I got high hopes and dreams too. I got high hopes and dreams for this team in this season. Absolutely, I got high hopes and dreams. For sure. Absolutely have high hopes and dreams. Yes, Travis Lee, JC's on at 1:15. Yes. Billy Thompson, I have a would you rather for you. Would you rather lose to Georgia State and beat Arkansas or beat Georgia State and lose to Arkansas? Billy, that's I understand winning the SEC games. Like maybe I'll have the hot take, but I'd much rather beat Georgia State and lose to Arkansas because at least that would make sense. Like, and I'll be honest with you, selfishly, Billy, I don't want to endure you all on this show, on my podcast, on social media. I don't want to endure that after losing to Georgia State. I don't. I don't. I don't want to endure that. So give me the Georgia State dub. Give me the dub that's expected. Lose to Georgia State, and I'll be more frustrated than I am right now watching this camera refocus every 5 seconds. I got to fix that over this weekend. It's just annoying as hell. I got to fix the camera. Matt Jones says in the TDC Questions channel, the Big Cock Club Discord, he says, change my score from 49-13 to more like 35-20 against Georgia State. Be more realistic score. Yeah, bro, 49-13. Like, I mean, dude, if we do that, we might be going 9-3 or 10-2. Craig Phillips, will we even be talking about Georgia State if Elliott wasn't the coach? And if somehow they do win, it is the nail in the coffin on Satterfield. I would say this. I think even if Elliott wasn't the coach, I think we'd still be talking about him. Like if they had the same track record and won the same games they had won, I mean, that certainly amplifies it, right? Because the storyline, but I think we'd still be looking at Georgia State as like, hey, this is not EIU. This is a legitimate team. Like this is a, game we should win, but one you can't just take lightly. I'd probably think so. I don't know what Zach Attack and Matt Jones are talking about. James Robinson. Jamie Reynolds. What are y'all? I don't know what y'all talking about. I'll be honest with you. Tyler Hawks definitely should not expect a 9+ win season in year 2, but what's nice is the potential with all the productive transfers to do so. This team is a big mystery. No, for sure. I mean, listen, Tyler. I'm cautious. I'm just so ready for the season to get started because I don't want to have to say, well, keep expectations, this, that. Let's just play them on the field, see what happens, right? I mean, I guess that's the beauty of it too, is that, hey, there are, as I mentioned before, there are real on-field reasons to be excited. That's what's so exciting going in this year. There are real on-field reasons to be hype. That hasn't always been the case, right? That just hasn't always been the case. So, you know, and I will say, you know, if you go 6-6, it'll be a bit of a shame. As T-Man pointed out earlier, it'll be a bit of a shame, you know, when you've got a quarterback like Spencer Rattler. This is not a guy, you know, you've never had a quarterback. You've never had a quarterback like this guy. All right, let's jump to the phone line.
Big Al.
Big Al, what's up, man? How are you?
What's going on, Chris?
Not much, man. Just hanging out. What's up?
Well, I figured I'd go ahead and throw in this situation with Sean Elliott coming back. I believe it's going to be one of those things that Sean Elliott comes back. It's a reunion. The coach who couldn't make it, who got kicked out and ran off.
Sean, hold on. Say that again now.
Sean Elliott being, not necessarily ran off, but whenever Muschamp took over the job, and Sean Elliott was going for that head coaching position.
Yeah, he didn't get it. Yeah, I remember vividly, and I don't know if you knew this. I had him on the airwaves on our show, and he talked about that. So he said he never felt like he had a shot to get it, and that we wanted to go after a name, and you could tell the way he was phrasing things that he thought we were a little misguided in our in our strategy, and obviously it did not pay off for us, as he was very quick to point out as well. So,
well, I think that him coming into this situation against South Carolina, a lot of people need to understand that I don't think this is going to be a blowout game. Like you said earlier, I think it's going to be close. Sean Elliott's going to have his guys fired up. It's going to be a passionate game for Sean Elliott, coming back into a stadium in which he thought he should be the head coach of. And he's going to try and prove a point. His players are going to have his back. I mean, Sean Elliott is a passionate coach.
Yeah, no, I think so. Like I said, man, I think if we win this game by 17+, I'd be pretty happy. I really would.
And it could honestly come out. You know, I hate to say it, but I mean, being a Carolina fan, you have to realize this could be a Cinderella story for Sean Elliott. You know, coming back into the stadium, and if he wins this game, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, that's like a Super Bowl victory to him. He would feel like he proved a point. So if we have all these players that are strong behind Shane Beamer, and you know, Shane Beamer this, Shane Beamer that, think about these players that are playing for Sean Elliott as well. You know, they have the same mindset for their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think all that's fair for sure, and I've said a lot of the same things. I will say this though, just the point: I don't come into this game nervous about a loss. I really don't. It hasn't even remotely crossed my mind that South Carolina might lose this game. I think it could be a very close, like a closer than we want it to be game. I just don't see any scenario where Carolina loses. I don't. It would be a massive blunder to start the year. I don't see it happening.
Oh, I don't think we're going to lose. I don't believe that. I just unbiased thought. You know, just the thought process of the game. There's so many situations you can create in your head, and it's just the thought process of Sean Elliott coming back onto the field. You know, it makes you think is all. I'm not saying we're gonna lose this game. It was a crazy thought I had going on in my head, and I bet a lot of Carolina fans out there thought the same way.
Probably wouldn't be a Gamecock if you didn't have that thought, right?
Amen, brother. All right, Chris. I just wanted to call in and give that thought. You have a good day, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, I will say this, guys. With all that being said, all the banter about this Georgia State game, I don't go into that one truly nervous that we will lose. Put it that way. I really don't. I don't go into that one truly nervous that South Carolina will lose the football game. I think it could be a close game, for sure. I think it could be a close game, but I don't go into that one nervous we lose. I don't. Let's see. Let's check the phone lines here.
Call from
Hunter.
Yo, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Doing well, man. Just chilling. What's up?
That's good. Yeah. So about your little simulator, or I don't know how to say it, simulator series things that you post on your thing every day. So like for some reason on my phone, I'm not sure if it's on your end or not, but like whenever I guess like depends on which way your phone is. I can hear you clear, like if I do it like full size, but like if I'm just like act like I'm texting while I'm watching you, it has like it kind of sounds like I'm talking to you on the phone. So I'm not sure if it's just your end when I'm watching the series thing.
On what specifically again?
Like so, say if I'm on my phone, because I know some people use like the computer.
I'm
or something
saying like
that,
what content
Apple.
are you talking about specifically? What video?
I'm pretty sure it's the Spurs Up show. Like if you I think it's like at 7 o'clock or something like that. Every day.
Are you talking about the simulations? You're talking about the simulations. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
the
why
simulation,
the
yeah, yeah.
audio. Yeah, I don't know why the audio comes out of like one earbud for people. I don't know, bro. I don't know why it does that. I've been playing around with Streamlabs forever. I have no clue why it does that. I'm still messing around with it. Technology is great until it isn't, man. I don't know. That we just kind of
I think it's for everybody with their phones.
Yeah, we just kind of push through it. I don't know. I'm continuing to kind of mess around with it. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I really don't.
But going back to Georgia State, I think we're going to beat Georgia State ass. Ain't no way we're losing to them.
Yeah, I mean, I picked a 34-14 win over the summer. I mean, 20-point victory.
Without a doubt.
I feel confident we'll get the win. I mean, again, I will not doubt there will be uncomfortable moments early. I'll tell you this. There's going to be a part of – let me just put it this way. I'm confident in saying there's going to be a part of the fan base that will be disgruntled after that game. No doubt. No doubt. Because there's just some people – there's just some people out there, if we don't win 56-0, they just won't be satisfied. If the backups aren't in by the start of the fourth quarter, they won't be satisfied. And I just don't see it being that type of game. I just really don't. I think Georgia State is going to play a good football game, and they will make it it'll be a 10 or 14 point game, maybe a 10-point game in the third quarter. Like it'll be a late third quarter kind of game. But I do think we'll pull away.
Yeah, because I remember watching Sean Elliott when I was a kid. So I mean, I know he did pretty good with the team back in 2013. So I don't know. I mean, they might put up a good show with us.
Yeah, no, I do. I think they're going to play hard. They're going to be physical. If we can't stop the run, it's going to be a really long day for us. But yeah, I think we've got enough. I think we've got enough to pull away and get the W. So like I said, I'll lock in official predictions and all that the week of the game. But just sitting here right now, 2 weeks before kickoff, I'm confident we will start 1-0 for sure.
So what about that Kentucky game? You heard about that coach was talking shit on the Beamer?
My friend, I'd have to be living under a rock to not have heard that. So, yeah, I'd have to be living under a rock. No, it was it was crazy. I don't know why Stoops would do that. I don't know.
Yeah, if you go on Twitter, you'll see a bunch of players. You'll see a bunch of players saying that we got to beat Kentucky and all this crap, and it's crazy over Twitter about Kentucky.
Yeah, dude, I love it though. I love the banter. Hey, bring it on. To hell with it. We already hate them and we need to beat them, and that brings more light to the game on the 8th. So it's interesting comments for sure from Stoops. I don't know why he I don't know why he feels the need to do it, but that's fine. That's fine. It's like we already weren't fired up enough for that game. So hey, give us all the bulletin board material you want.
Hell yeah. So, all right. That's all I needed to say. I'm actually going to go to that Carolina Ale House with y'all. So was that on that date? So I guess I'll see y'all then.
Which one are you going to?
The one, I think it's the Georgia State game, isn't it?
So Georgia State game, we will actually be at Seawells for the tailgate. We'll be at the tailgate for.
So when is that Carolina Ale House? Because I know I'm going to. I just can't remember. I'm going.
So we've got We got Ale House tonight in Augusta. Next Thursday, we got Ale House in Greenville, Woodruff Road, and then the following week on Tuesday night. Okay, Woodruff Road. All right, cool. I didn't know you were a Greenville guy. Cool. Good stuff.
Yep. No, I mean, I'm in Moncks Corner, but my friend said that my friend watches your show, so he wanted to go. So I was like, screw, why not? Let's go.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate y'all making the trip, man. Gonna be a lot of fun for sure. I'm excited.
No problem.
Yeah, the tour stuff's been incredible, so it will be exciting to meet you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You take it easy.
Yeah, man. You too. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff. Great stuff as always for sure, man. I see my guy, the comment, Kevin Crossland. My guy, I will do everything I can with the audio, dude. I mean, everybody else seems to make it work, Kevin. The game sound is fine on the simulations. It's my sound that comes out of one ear. But I'll be honest with you, when I watch it on my phone, I don't even notice it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's only when people have headphones in, apparently. So I don't know why it does that. Like, I've tried different things. I have no clue why it does that. So, J-Rock, call me crazy. Some reason I've had a strange feeling all offseason that we might lose to Arkansas but beat Georgia. Not saying that's what I'm expecting, but just a feeling. He also says it would be a Gamecock thing to do. I mean, here's the thing. Just because you lose to Arkansas or beat Arkansas, like, it doesn't guarantee anything in week 3. So who knows, man? Crazier things have happened, right? Crazier things have most certainly happened, for sure. Let's see. All right, let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Will from Hardy Marlin.
Will, what's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Just hanging out. What's going on?
Just wanted to call and give my 2 cents on the Kentucky thing. That really burned my ass when I saw that. It's like, it's almost still, even though they've been beating us for a while, it still feels a certain type of way to let Kentucky beat us in football every year. And the fact that now the coach is going out on a limb and talking shit, it's like, we have to fucking beat Kentucky. I already hated Kentucky as much as I hated any other team other than maybe Tennessee. But as far as not Clemson, but it's really at the point now where it's just disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, we got to beat them. Like, it's 7 out of 8 years, right? They beat us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, has to come to an end. Has to come to an end. For us to take another step, has to come to an end. But
yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard to, as a Gamecock fan, fight the fight of, we're legitimate, we're making strides. Like, if you're not beating Kentucky, it's just really hard to, like, say that and not get laughed out of the room.
Absolutely. I mean, Kentucky took our spot. Really, if you look at it, I mean, Kentucky took our spot in the SEC East as far as, where we were for a while, being that team that was right underneath the top. You know what I mean? We weren't quite, except for those couple of years, that top team, but we were always third or something like that.
Right.
They kind of took our spot now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's time for us to get our spot back. Absolutely. I'm just fired up, man. I'm ready. The season's right around the corner. The optimism is super high, realistic, but super high. And, it's just, I want to run through a brick wall right now, especially after hearing them talk about Beamer like that. It's like, I take that shit personally. So we need to go out there and represent and kick their ass in their house. But that's about it. I'm sorry I'm not on a positive note today, but that just kind of got me in
you're
a
fine.
certain type of way. Go Cox.
You're fine. Hey, Will, appreciate it, my man.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, no, I love it. I
All
love
right,
it. Love the passion. Appreciate the call. No, Will always bringing the heat, man. That's why I love him calling the show. Guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first break, but I do want to continue to hear from you, more of your questions, your comments, your calls, and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, your comments, your calls. Sorry for the technical issues with the break video. I was trying to update the camera, the autofocus feature on the camera. It doesn't look like it worked. So we just got to change up our setup in here. Obviously, having all this open space behind me, I think, is really screwing us up with this camera. It's trying to pick up what you see behind me. It's trying to pick up my face. Either way, we're going to get through it. We're going to rock and roll. Excited to talk to J.C. Sherbert at 1:15. J.C. Sherbert at 1:15. Really, really exciting stuff. In the meantime, we're taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377 here. Again, I don't know why the video messed up. I actually refreshed the page. Maybe that's why. Either way, guys, really exciting stuff. Tomorrow's podcast, we will talk about tight ends going into the 2022 football season. Also, what did you guys think last night of Welcome Home South Carolina football? It's kind of funny, even when ESPN tries to do something good for us, right? Even when ESPN tries to do something for us, they still find a way to mess it up. They still find a way to mess it up. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just is what it is. Let's see. I'm just trying to I don't know. I'm like actively playing around with the camera while we're doing this, because I'll be honest with you, like I don't know that I love this camera. I don't know. My guy Phil gave me the camera. I don't know that I love the camera. And we're just actively doing this. We're actively doing this on the show.
Call from
Here we
Brian
go.
Lattimore.
Let's jump into the phone. Let's jump to the phone calls here. Brian, what's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
Oh, not too much. Pretty excited. Just walked in, tickets for me and my family to head up to Columbia for game one. So
Did you take
pretty
advantage
exciting.
of the $18 tickets?
I did, man. I saw it and I was like, I can't pass this up. That's a good deal. And they're selling quick. So if anybody wants them, they need to hurry up and get in there and get them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely why USC did it, man. They're trying to get people in the stadium. So I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, I locked in 5 tickets, after taxes and everything, under $100. How do you beat that?
Yeah, that's pretty
And for
impressive.
decent seats too.
Yeah, that's impressive.
But yeah, I figured I'd call in and talk about that game 1 week. We talked about it a little bit today, about Georgia State.
Right.
Obviously, we have all the credit in the world. Give all the credit in the world to Sean Elliott. He did incredible things for our program, and he's doing incredible things for Georgia State. They're a well-respected team, no matter who they face. That's a team you can't take lightly. But at the same time, you have to approach that game understanding that you're better in every facet of the game than that team. There's no reason you should be on upset alert, going to that game. And, I think the spread, opened at 12. I've seen it up to 13 already in some places. And I expect it, honestly, it's probably going to go up to 2 touchdowns, by the time kickoff comes around. I think it's going to float around that 14 number. So even 13, you're probably still getting some value to your bet. But, I look at it from the mindset of, I think about like what Nick Saban says whenever he goes in the games. He doesn't worry about necessarily who he's playing or who his team's playing. He focuses on his team and what he can do to improve every single week. No matter how good Alabama looks, they're always nitpicking, they're finding things to improve. Every team does that, right? Obviously there's some teams that have a lot more to improve than others. But that's really what we need to do going into that game. Not necessarily worry about what they're going to do, but as long as we can walk into that game and produce a well-oiled machine, I mean, you gotta eliminate the week 1 hiccups that you're going to have. A lot of times you go out in that opening series and it just doesn't look like you can make it click. It's just everybody's got goosebumps or butterflies in their stomach. Just getting used to the game sense. But being able to really replicate the game in practice, that way when you get out there week 1, it's not new to everybody. You understand what you're going to expect. It's hard to reproduce a Rockin' Willie B, game 1, but you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to limit penalties.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's really going to help you go out there and, produce results on the field. That's what we need to do, is produce the results on the field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, absolutely, man. It's all about the results on the field and setting the tone for this season in week 1. So I do think the crowd will be electric. I think it'll be a fun night, LED lights, all that good stuff. Debut of Rattler, plenty of storylines in the ball game. So I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere, no doubt. I mean, the tailgate's going to be jumping. We're going to be out there about 11 or noon or something like that. And going to be an all-day affair. And I really do feel confident Gamecock fans will show up and show out, including yourself. So it's going to be a fun time. And hopefully the play on the field will match that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm willing to make the trip from Myrtle Beach, anybody should be able to make the trip. Get out there, fill the seats.
Yeah,
I mean, my God, this might be the best team we've had in 10 years. So I'm really hoping, we see those results. If we really want the respect, a lot of people are talking about these 10-2 seasons, or why are we ranked 45th or whatever in preseason polls? Why aren't we top 25? Week 1 is where you go out there and you shut the naysayers up and you put a quality product on the field. You walk into week 2 in Arkansas, you can do the same thing. You can beat anybody on the schedule, but it starts week 1. You go out there and struggle week 1, a lot of people will have their questions answered, why we're ranked 45th or.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this too, man, because there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and I don't even blame Gamecock fans for being this way, but you can just tell there's still a lot there's still a lot of scar tissue from the Muschamp era. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, man. People expect the bad things to happen. You know what I mean? They expect to be let down. They expect to have their hearts broken. I'm a victim of it too, right? I'm right there with you. So, I mean, it's kind of like J.C. Sherbert made the point last week of are we allowing our history of our Gamecock fandom are we allowing that to stop us from seeing the real potential of this team? But granted, again, on the flip side, I say that, Gamecock fans have just been beaten, battered, and bruised over the years so badly that I don't blame, and I think it's probably wise for Gamecock fans to come into seasons with very, very, very tempered expectations and be more of in a show me mode. I don't like approaching life in a way of, well, just keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed, right? I don't like that. But when it comes to something like South Carolina football, something that you literally have no control over the result of, maybe that's not the worst attitude to have. And I hate to say that, but that's why the dude picking 10 or 11 wins. It's bro, you don't have any control over that. So it's I'll just say, that's why you should be in the middle, but I just don't blame the Gamecock fans that are very cautiously optimistic, because history has shown that they are justified in being that way.
Yeah, cautiously optimistic is definitely the approach to take. I mean, unless you just like being disappointed, in which case, by all means, go out there and expect a 10-2 season, but don't be upset when it doesn't happen, because, as you said, history is a very interesting thing. While it doesn't mean anything, it kind of tells you what you've been in the past, and until you change history, and I don't think we've done that. The last 10 years we've been all over the scale. We've been great, we've been terrible. So realistically speaking, that means you should expect somewhere in the middle.
Right. I mean, I talked about that this morning with Tim Hill. It's history is something that most certainly is a challenge for South Carolina to overcome when they're on the recruiting trail, because, dude, if you just took the Block C and the Garnet and Black off of everything in Columbia and you just looked at South Carolina, you took the name off, right? If you just looked at the facilities for themselves, you looked at Willie B, you looked at the indoor facility, you looked at the campus, you looked at the fact of what conference they're in, you would look at all those things and say, bro, this is an elite program. I mean, this is they've got everything. This is big time football here. But then you slap that Block C on it. You slap that Garnet and Black on it. It's it's South Carolina. They'll never win anything because they never have won anything, right? I mean, that's where it comes. That's where the negative stigma comes from, right? So, and that's not, I'm not saying that. I know that's a very uncomfortable conversation for some, specifically our guy Luke RJ. He just can't stand having the convo about the history or lack thereof, but it's just real. It's real. And listen, it's something you may not like having the conversation, but it's something Shane Beamer has to face every day. It's something that they have to face and overcome in recruiting. Coach, you've never won an SEC before. You never won a national title. Why should I believe you can do it? So, but the good news is I think that we have a guy in Shane Beamer that doesn't see South Carolina for what it's always been. He sees it for what it can be, and that means something. So, but yeah, I mean, we could go into a whole long drawn out thing, man, about like the history of South Carolina football and the mindset. But I'll tell you this. Gamecock fans are most certainly not to blame for anything. All Gamecock fans have ever done is show up and show support and show love, and probably show more love and support than they should have at times. They've been loyal to a fault. So Gamecock fans are just a product of what their program has given them. That's it. That's all we are. So if you want Carolina fans to be cocky assholes and beat our chest and just brag about how we're great all the time, then go win. We will do that. So just a product of our environment. That's pretty much it. So,
the interesting thing about history is, when you look at it as a whole, it's very easy to just say, well, you've been mediocre the whole time. You're going to continue being mediocre. And I think that's what a lot of people do, not necessarily our fan base, but others from the outside looking in, right? But if you really break it down into different categories, like for instance, if you look at our facilities, historically speaking, we haven't had the greatest, facilities in the world. But today, you can't say that. Today, we compete with the best as far as our facilities are concerned. We look at coaching staffs. I mean, we've had the best coach in school history, the best, you could argue he's one of the best coaches in the nation at our school. You couldn't say that historically. Historically, you've had some good coaches, but, it's been hard to attract that guy. And obviously, you look at Shane Beamer, you have no idea, where he'll end up on the coaching scale, but we're trending upward, right? You like the trajectory that we're headed.
Right.
So, the different categories that you kind of break down our history, even the fact that, we're in the SEC now. We weren't always in the SEC. We were in a mediocre conference before, being the ACC. So there's multiple different facets that's kind of trended our program upward. It gives us more things that we can sell to recruits. How many 11 win seasons that we had historically? I think we had 4 10-win seasons. We had 3 of them in the last 10 years, 12 years, whatever it is, 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to break that down and sell it to recruits from the inside looking out. But, obviously everyone that's recruiting against us, it's easy to use the history against us. You can't change it. You just got to focus on recent history. That's all that really matters. What we did 100 years ago, it doesn't have anything to do with today.
Right.
Anything at all.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, that's recruits today, that's the beautiful thing is that they're not holding it against South Carolina. Well, why didn't you win in the 80s? It's like, who gives a damn? Why didn't you win in the 90s? Like, who cares? You know what I mean? They don't care. They're more focused on the future. So, South Carolina's history, it is what it is. It's not great, but it's not some indication of what they will be moving forward, right? People can change. Cultures can change. History can change. But I think it's something, again, that just happens. It happens over the long haul, and it's something that happens slowly, right? That's why I say if you could average winning eight games a year over the course of a decade, that would be a huge success for this program. Because you go from being looked at as like lowly South Carolina to you're a good program. You're Michigan State. Who wouldn't want to be Michigan State? They got a good program. Wisconsin, good program. Like, I'll take it. And you got to do that, I think. You got to walk before you can run. So before you're getting to the point where you're winning 10, 11 a year, because, guys, Georgia's going nowhere. I was talking to my buddy about this before. Like, bro, I just don't see a universe in which Georgia's not good at football. Like, Georgia, I think, will forever be good at football. They may not win the national title every year. They may not win the SEC every year. But, like, Georgia's never going to be Kentucky. Georgia's never going to be some 6-win-a-year program. They're just not. They're just not. Like, Georgia, they care about football too much. They invest in football too much. They are in the most talent, arguably rich state in America. They're just not ever, I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, it's hard for me to fathom Georgia not being good. So you're going to have to combat that forever, practically. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. And an interesting point to bring up there, you start talking about Georgia. You take the last 2 or 3 years off of Georgia, and what were they? They were over the last 10 years, 8-4 average team, probably, somewhere in that, maybe a little bit more. But, you look back at, when they had Mark Richt as a coach, he's winning, 9-10 games a season, and that wasn't good enough for them. But, they were a good program. They weren't winning national championships. They hadn't won one since 1980 or whatever it was, 1981, somewhere in that time frame. So they were a historically, they were a good team, but they weren't a great team. So you had to walk before you run. Finally, they figured it out. They got their good ducks in a row. They won a national championship. So, that's where you got to get. You got to get to being a good to really good team before you can become a great team. They're in their power years right now.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. I mean, they've been a really, really good program for a while, but no, again, the point you make, I agree with you. You got to get to being an 8-win team per year, 8 to 9 win team per year, and then you can start talking about, okay, we got to start landing the Harbors of the world. We got to start landing these 5-star after 5-star after 5-star, and you can get to that point, but you just need to get to a point of beating Kentucky and Mizzou again. Like that's priority number one right now.
Yep. All right, man. I'll let you go. I know you got a few minutes to get with JC, so I'll catch you next time.
Brian, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for the call. Always great stuff from you. Brian Lattimore. Appreciate him, man. Appreciate Brian coming out to the Ale House event in Myrtle Beach. We had a blast. Had a lot of fun. Guys, 843-790-3377. Let's see. 843-790-3377. It was James Reynolds. That's who it was that had the 10-2 prediction. Had the 10-2. Here we go. Jump real quick.
Call from
Chase Orban.
What's up, man? You got about 2 minutes before we got to jump into a break and get JC on the airwaves. What's up?
Got you, man. Hey, dude, I tell you what, I'm a big fan of the show. I work overnight, so I got earbuds in. I probably listen to everything you put out, Daily Crow wise, Spurs Up, for the last 2 to 3 weeks.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I wanted to say, I am a young fan in terms of, I grew up during the Spurrier area, so I'm spoiled. And I want to say that, I have a hot take that I think Georgia State may just be, I have a ton of respect for Sean Elliott. And I think that, how he fought Clemson in 2015, I just have to say I have very dark feelings about how he may come into Willie B with 16 all-conference players.
I mean, he's going to come in motivated for sure. I mean, they're going to come in expecting to win, bottom line. That's it. They will come in expecting to win. I don't think they will, but they will come in with expectations of it. So.
And, I got to say, man, that, Juju reminds me of Sean Carson from back in 2013, 2014, a good bit. And I
could see that. Yeah. Just smaller speedster guys. I hope they use him a lot more than they use Sean Carson. I mean, they used him a fair amount, but
Well, anyways, I know you got to get with JC, man. I listen to him too, so I have a ton of respect for that guy and you as well, man. Y'all both are great content creators. But the last thing I'll say is I do have a little bit of banter with you at some point about you saying the recruiting ratings and how blue chip and how programs with 3 stars and 4 stars and maybe a couple 5 stars can't make it to a national championship. But anyways, man, I just want to get on the airwaves real quick and say thank you for everything you put out, man. It's entertaining and gets me fired up for the season. And thank you again, Chris.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. And I will be excited to have that banter whenever you want to have it because it's not really me that's saying that in regards to blue chip ratio. It's not really me that's saying that. It's the statistics. I mean, the statistics just say you have to be at a certain percentage to compete for national titles. Guys, we're going to jump into a quick break. Luke RJ says, how long will the combo be? Well, about 20, 30 minutes with JC. We're going to jump into a break, though. I'm going to send him the link, and we'll get him on the airwaves. Guys, we are continuing to rock and roll here on this Thursday. We're taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. On the other side, you're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well here on the Daily Crow. 843 790-3377. Thursday, August the 18th, and it's Thursday, which means one thing, of course. Our good friend JC Sherbert joins us each and every Thursday to talk Gamecock football. JC, what's going on, man?
Been a crazy day. I mean, you know, I do that live show now. It's kind of a new thing, kind of from 11 to 1. And so far, it's going well. But today, all heck breaks loose. There's all this breaking news going on and stuff during it. And I've kind of been under the weather for the first part of this week, so I got my energy back. It was just a lot of fun. Not only talking about Mark Stoops and what's coming to him, but hopefully what's coming to him, and but also all the breaking recruiting news from around the world for the Gamecocks. I think it was pretty awesome. Also saw where you're going to be at Carolina Ale House. My favorite one is in downtown Greenville, and then you're going to be on the one on Woodruff Road coming up next Thursday.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty awesome. I did not know that till I was reading your screen there, but have a few orders of wings and cold beer for me there. That was one of my favorite hangouts. I watched the second half of the first round. Actually went to the Marquette game in basketball when it was in Greenville, but left at halftime. Had a date that was a Clemson fan that wanted to get out of there and watch the second half of it there, which is probably more awesome than sticking around at the well anyway.
True. Yeah, we were downtown Greenville a couple weeks ago. That's an awesome venue. Great location with the overhang there on Main Street and everything. Really cool.
If you ever go to college football Saturday, dude, I mean, if you're ever in Greenville, Gamecocks are away or wherever, college football Saturday, that's probably the best place in town, especially when the weather's nice and you got the open one out there.
we actually threw a watch party there last fall for the East
sweet.
Carolina game, and I think we're doing the watch party there this year for the Arkansas game. So yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Diamond, I know a bartender there, Diamond Dave. So you'll know who he is when you see him. Tell him Bartow and JC said hello, and you'll get a free beer.
Will do. I love it. JC Sherbert again at the Big Spur. Appreciate you. JC, first thing I was going to ask you, of course, Welcome Home South Carolina Football aired last night, episode 2. Why do you think it is that even when ESPN tries to do something good for us, they screw us over at the same time?
I don't know what the situation is there, man.
Just cutting off the end of it.
Well, and then on top of that, I mean, look, that's fine. It's broadcast television or whatever, and then they're always moving forward with time constraints or whatever. But then you don't even have it on archive streaming. I mean, it's like, so you got to kind of wait till Friday at 9:00 to watch it. And that was very disappointing, but it's still good publicity. But the way it's ended the last 2 weeks, and I don't think they cut much off the first week, but the way it's just like, all of a sudden we're going to volleyball, and you're like, oh God. So that's just, hey, but look, I'll take that. As long as the actual season goes well, I'm sitting here kind of trying to temper my expectations. And today's really the first day I've written anything that's super, I don't want to say over the top positive. It's just based on some feedback that I've gotten. But, I think a lot of us are kind of walking on eggshells going, hey, they have a chance to be really good. Let's just hope they are.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought you put it beautifully last week, and that's why I clipped it about, are we allowing, our scar tissue as Gamecock fans to stop us from like going over the top or maybe hyping this team up the way that maybe some others who didn't have that similar type of scar tissue would do. But again, you can't blame Gamecock fans for just being a product of their environment. JC Sherbert, again, Inside the Gamecocks podcast. JC, I apologize if I didn't allow you to do this last week, but let people know before we even get going where they can find Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Obviously, now you're doing the live show, so I know that's something a little bit unique. I guess it's on, across social media, YouTube, but let people know just where they can catch that every day.
We go 11 to 1, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 on YouTube, also on Facebook and Twitter. We like the YouTube stream better because we get a little chat room people can get into. And it's also always available on podcast form. Not everybody can get the live stream. It's kind of like live radio. People are in and out of their cars, and nobody really has YouTube in their car. But the live stream is a good thing. We kind of picked up where JB and Goldwater left off, kind of that same format, except we're a little more Gamecock oriented and not as oriented towards the Charleston market and things like that. No offense to the Charleston market, but that's just kind of, we're more Gamecock SEC, that kind of thing. But you can always find it on iTunes, Apple Pods, or the Spotify or anywhere else you get podcasts. I think we're on Audible. So if you listen to audiobooks, you can get it there and all that good stuff. But that's it is a new thing. The podcast I had that was Inside the Gamecocks before that was basically just me talking. I was like the Dr. Michael Savage of Gamecock Talk. And I think some people kind of got bored with that. So Phil is a guy I've known a long time. He's my co-host. And it's just been a lot of fun to have guests and have people to bounce things off of and stuff.
Yeah, and I know I'll be on there with you guys tomorrow at 11:30. So
looking forward to that. It's high energy. Yeah. We like that.
Bring the noise for sure. On that note, let's just dive into it, man, because, of course, the Gamecocks scrimmaged over the weekend. Last weekend, they've got their second and final scrimmage of preseason camp this Saturday. But bottom line, we are in the thick of it with fall camp as we sit now just, 16 days away from kickoff. I think the top storyline from over the weekend and even today are the guys who aren't participating. My question to you, JC, is this. Has Shane Beamer considered wrapping Marshawn Lloyd in bubble wrap for the remainder of fall camp?
Yeah, I know that Shane, is kind of somewhere in between Muschamp and Spurrier when it comes to injuries or
physicality,
going out of the way to avoid injuries. They're physical and they work hard and all that, but he also was here before and knows that if you don't dial it back and you get a bunch of injuries in South Carolina, your goose is cooked. I mean, it's just a fact that the Gamecocks are probably, you never say never, but as a program, depth has never not been an issue. You look back at the Spurrier era, talking to some of the coaches on those staffs of those really good teams, and they'll tell you, like, look, our top 33 can compete with anybody in the league. But you get beyond that, and he's like, Spurrier was one of the things he did. He was fanatical about it. Two things about Steve Spurrier everybody misses because they talk about play call and ball plays, all that, and he was great, one of the best, and probably the best in history. One thing is he didn't put pressure on his players to win. He just said, go play your best. Let's go play your best. Number one. And then number two is he went out of his way to keep people healthy. He was fanatical about that. And like I was told, that means come out in shorts on a Tuesday. It means come out in shorts on a Tuesday. And different coaches have different philosophies on this. And I think even some of the defensive coaches under Spurrier were kind of like, you need to hit more and all that because kind of they're defensive coaches. Well, last time I checked, Gamecocks had pretty good defenses, all but except the last 2 years under Steve Spurrier. So they had no problem tackling and hitting and being physical. So I think that's a good philosophy. I think Beamer is somewhere in between Muschamp and Spurrier on that. But I also know that Luke Day and the off the field guys really go out of their way to make sure these guys are healthy. And I think from what I'm told, and again, we have scar tissue from the last 10 years. From what I'm told, it's just some nicks and bruises, and they're operating out of an abundance of caution.
Right.
But I understand that it's a little disconcerting when the media goes and sees Lloyd, hobbling around, working with a trainer or whatever, Jordan Birch, key guys like that, because that's who they're going to count on. So hopefully they'll be better. I have not heard of any kind of lingering bad thing. Hopefully they'll get a scrimmage in, a couple plays at least, get their feet wet. And, but what really matters is, Chris, in a couple of weeks, if they're all good to go and ready to roll against Georgia State, which I think is going to be a game the Gamecocks can't just show up and expect to win. I think it's going to be a lot like playing an App State or an East Carolina or a really good Sun Belt team, because I do expect GSU to contend in that league this year, which is an underrated league. And so the Gamecocks will win it if they bring it, but they better bring it.
Yeah. No, for sure. This is not EIU all over again. This is a team that, again, you look at how many made the preseason all-conference team, and, I mean, God, you know Sean Elliott's going to give you his best shot. He'll have his team ready to go. And I think what's so intriguing is we'll learn, JC, so quickly about the line of scrimmage and just where this team is in regards to running the football, stopping the run, protecting the quarterback. Again, I know it's fall camp, JC, so it's tough to – and you're certainly not going to draw conclusions or anything, but coming out of scrimmage number one into this week, is there anything that, from you guys being on site that you're hearing, seeing that has stood out to you, either positive or negative, just anything in particular that might be of interest to the masses, or is it kind of just business as usual fall camp, and all these questions we have, they really won't be answered till we get to week 1?
I was encouraged by, and I always look for this: is the defense ahead of the offense in the first scrimmage? And I've covered a lot of preseason camps. Some are like watching paint dry. But I've the only time I ever heard / saw, right, the offense being ahead of the defense at Carolina going up and down the field was 2020. Think about how many NFL players were on that defense. Think about who was quarterbacking that offense.
Yeah.
Think about the fact they had one wide receiver, and they literally every scrimmage went up and down the field on the D. Well, so you think, well, South Carolina could have a surprisingly good offense this year, or this defense is awful. And the defense should be ahead because these guys practice all summer against each other, right? Yeah. If you're a defensive player in a game, you don't know exactly. You hope you know, and you study film, and you hope you get it where the other guys are going. But if you rep that, because your offense is trying to rep their plays, well, they've repped their plays against you 1,000 times, and so you kind of have an instinct as to where they're going. And so in that scenario where you go live for the first time 11 on 11, the defense should get the best of the offense because what are they doing? If they haven't learned how to dissect the plays by then. And then the offense usually, installs some more stuff, perfects some more stuff, and then bam, they go right back at them, and then they have a good scrimmage. And that's how all the good teams in preseason that I've seen over the years operate. Where you get your red flags is just one side dominating the entire time, or, the offense going up and down the field the whole time. About the only good team I remember where there's a lot of stories about the offense just killing the defense, and the defense was pretty good, was the 1996 Florida Gators. And the whole story is Bob Stoops is just getting mad at his guys because they can't stop that offense. And Spurrier goes, shoot, Stoopsy, you're not going to play anybody as good as we are. You're not going to have to stop anybody as good as we are. So that was the one exception because that defense was excellent and that offense was elite. So, and they did win the national championship. But that's the only so that's what I was looking for. I also was looking for some command, the offense to be kind of smooth operating, even if they weren't going up and down the field. In the first 2 drives, they were. Red zone's got to tighten up, obviously. But what I was told by a couple of contacts that watched it was that the defense at South Carolina this year, everybody's talking about the improvement that they're going to make on offense because of Rattler and all the additions. But the defense at South Carolina this year is going to be pretty salty. We are going to be very good on defense. Quote. and even in saying that, I was also told that there's some concern about the pass rush. So, and then Beamer also in the press conference to kind of contradict that, said Rattler was holding on to it too long, that some of them would have been sacked. So I'm not all that, considering that happened, all that worried about the pass rush as things stand today. So it was not a perfect scrimmage. For either side of the ball, the defense did get the best of them. What I was encouraged was, talking about the D. And if you think about it, Chris, if Muhammad Kaba starts, which I think he's probably going to, and Sherrod Green starts, which I think maybe a toss-up there, you're replacing – and Brad Johnson's going to play a lot, don't get me wrong, but you're replacing 2 guys that are probably like 4'8", 4'7" guys with 2 guys that run 4'5" or sub 4'5". At linebacker. So some of these long runs you saw last year, maybe they're not 25-yard runs. Maybe they're 7 because of, improved speed, improved play at that position. And I think the secondary's grown a bit. I think the D-line's grown a bit. And, again, with all the, everybody's sick of not scoring any points around here, right? But I think that, there's another side of the ball there that could take a step that could be just as transformational as having a good offense.
Mm-hmm. Is there anybody, JC, from camp that you've heard that maybe has stood out that would be an unexpected standout performer for this season? Like, isn't someone that we were depending on going into this season. Anybody that stood out in particular?
Yeah, was that me?
I'm getting calls here on my end. Yeah, I'm getting calls. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Anyways, anybody that stood out that is not a, it's not one of your typical Bell, Stogg, Antoine Wells.
Well, I think on one of the encouraging things I heard the other day, and Jamie Bradford passed this along to me, and I also kind of confirmed it with some people. Dylan Wonnum, they say, looks like a future NFL guy. And we remember him 4 years ago when he did, and then we remember when he didn't. And I think people lose sight last year, Chris, of just how bad his back was. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's ever had any back problems, knock on wood, I have not. But people that I talk to about it are like, "Oh my dear sweet Lord!" I mean, it's just I can't imagine playing football like that, at any kind of high level. He's being pushed by Tyshawn Wanamaker. That's made everybody better. This is Dylan's last year, so if he wants to go to the NFL with his brother, he's got to play well. And I was very encouraged by that because I honestly, going into the season with the way he played and his injury last year and Tyshawn playing pretty well, I was like, it's going to be hard to beat Wanamaker back out. Well, I heard Wonnum's just surpassed expectations. So, boom, there's an offensive lineman. We've heard about Corey Rucker, Amarian Brown, Xavier Legette, Juice Wells all summer. And that I think Rucker may end up being a surprise, Brown, Legette, whatever. Defensively, Nick Emenware, the freshman from Irmo, when they worked him out in camp, 6'3", 220. He's now 6'4", 218. They put him at corner. He made plays. They put him at linebacker. He made plays. They put him at tight end. He made plays. He's just a freak athlete. And when you have somebody like that, sometimes you don't expect them to right away be ready. Okay, all this gift, let's mold him. Let's make him into what he can be. And then in 2 years, he'll be a beast. Well, lo and behold, he's stepped up and he's probably going to get on the field. Right away this year at one of the reserve safety positions. He's got he's almost like a more physical, let me back up, a way more physical version of Izzy McWaman. I think he's got similar ball skills to Izzy, similar size, obviously, similar length, but he's a guy a lot like Isaiah Simmons played for Clemson. Is that the guy?
Yes.
A lot like that guy. Will he grow into that type of guy where, everybody kind of was scared of Simmons by the end, like, oh God, where's he coming from? But that kind of guy that can just patrol your defense. And the fact that he's ahead of schedule is very, very exciting, in my opinion. The other freshman that I hear a lot about is, of course, Stone Blanton at linebacker. Yeah. And that's all well and good and all that. And then they love, which probably will be their third team defensive tackles, TJ Sanders and Nick Barrett on the inside, particularly Sanders, 6'5", 305, big-time athletic. I hated what happened to Rick Sandage because I really liked that kid and he was coming on. But, one guy goes down, you got to replace him. And, Sanders has that same size at 6'5", long-armed, tough guy. I can't wait to see him play in game action as well. But those are who I've heard have stood out so far. And one more thing, Nate Atkins at tight end. This is going to be the most devastating blocker that they've had at an H-back, fullback, tight end spot probably since DeMarco. And that's nothing against Hayden Hurst, who can block really well. But we will remember DeMarco could straight up plow the road. And nothing against Adam Prentice either, because Adam Prentice was pretty good at it too. But I think this guy is going to remind a lot of people of those days where, if you want to line up in the eye, good, boom, let's go.
I'd love to hear it, man. Also, too, you mentioned on the defensive side. That was something great I took away from the, Beamer's comments from after the scrimmage, hearing those youngsters like Blanton and Kawan Banks and Emenware. Like, you love to hear that because obviously in this last recruiting class, they brought in, tons of talented guys on that defensive side. So hearing those guys making strides, obviously, and certainly a guy like Blanton, who I think we're all counting on to sort of change that linebacker room or be kind of the start of changing that linebacker room. Switching gears, JC, just a little bit, because, of course, we're going to talk recruiting. There's a big announcement coming up later today. There was a big announcement about an official visit that'll be coming in season. The Mark Stoops thing, I got to get your thoughts on that, man. Like, what? Because it's interesting. I'm surprised that clip stayed secret so long? Like ESPN just waited because apparently that interview was done, I guess, at SEC Media Days or like the day after Beamer spoke at Media Days, and that clip went viral of him putting the shades on, doing the Soldier Boy thing. Your thoughts on what Stoops had to say? You know, after honestly his back and forth with Calipari, I was like, this isn't really shocking because he's a very outspoken dude. Obviously, if you're willing to take shots at or go back and forth with Cal, but a game that's already circled on Gamecocks fans' calendars now, I mean, has even more emphasis on it with Stoops making the comments he did, which were obviously right. They were pointed at Shane Beamer. Your overall thoughts on that entire situation?
I don't think you need to be, if you're Mark Stoops, taking shots at a second-year head coach, and I don't think that anybody. All right, so let's talk about culture. Okay, let's talk about what he talks about culture, right? And look, nothing but respect for Mark Stoops. Nothing but respect for the job he's done, man. Kentucky's a hard job. He's done historically better than Rich Brooks, Joker Phillips. But I'll remind everybody, those guys took Kentucky to a bowl game just about every year. You know, they'd have their down years and the bottom fell out on Joker, but Rich Brooks had them, 5 straight bowls? They have a scheduling philosophy up there. If you look at the other SEC programs, even Vanderbilt's scheduling adventurously. Vanderbilt goes to Hawaii this year. They're doing home and homes with Georgia Tech and Wake Forest and teams with a pulse. Kentucky's every year 3 cupcakes and freaking Louisville. Right now, Louisville's recruiting well right now, so they may start getting cut in that one. But that's not play like Carolina playing Clemson and NC State and all these other teams. All right, so that's it. So good for him for getting the 10, right? Good for him for finally beating Florida. Good for him for during the pandemic year against a dead-in-the-water Tennessee team, finally beating Tennessee. And good for him for going 7-2 against South Carolina during this very tough 9 years. I'll remind everybody, not all those games were blowouts. The only blowouts were, during the pandemic year where it was, Carolina.
Like 40 guys trapped.
Yeah, 40 guys in that game,
Yeah.
I'll remind that was the only big blowout in it. There are different reasons why Carolina's lost that game. I'll throw a stat at you. They are 4-23 under Mark Stoops against Tennessee, Florida, and Georgia. Now, if you want to talk about culture and you want to criticize other people for talking culture and you want to talk about how, this culture, it takes time to build culture. It's more than sunglasses. You can change the climate, but not the culture or whatever. Well, how are you losing to Derek Dooley and the Tennessee Vols and getting your butt whipped? How are you losing to the Butch Jones Champions of Life led Vols every time you play them? How are you losing to Jeremy McDonald's Bag Pruitt and that culture at Tennessee every time you play them if your culture is so good? How are you losing to the Swamp Donkey at Florida? Will Muschamp had your number at Florida, okay? I don't think Will's culture was bad. Dan Mullen said he had a bad culture. How is he beating your ass every year? You're 4-23. During this same period, which has not been the glory years of South Carolina football by any stretch. But against those same 3 teams, Chris, South Carolina's 9-18. Now, that's not, you don't want to write home about that. That's not something you're going to brag to your Clemson buddies about it. But Kentucky needs to be very, very careful because I'll remind everybody, I say this all the time, job, program, team. There are years Kentucky's had a better team, no question, most years. You could argue that, for a while there, maybe even now, Kentucky's got a better program, as far as consistent winning, things of that nature. He's 9 years in. Shane's in year 2, right? But I also always remind people of the word job, which is ultimately where things, barring a large build like Oregon or something like Clemson's done, which is rare, you're always going to bounce back to it. South Carolina is an infinitely better job than Kentucky. Always has been, always will be. The worm is going to turn in this series sooner rather than later. Don't know if it'll be this year. Don't know what's going to happen October 8th. I know that my plans to go have been beefed up a little. I was not really. I'd planned on it. Wasn't on the fence, but I'm definitely going to that. And you better be careful if you say something like that and throw a shot at somebody that really hasn't done anything to poke the bear with you. I mean, Carolina recruited Dane Key. That's like the battle I think they had. Kentucky was going to win that battle anyway. Mark Stoops classlessly FaceTimed him from the locker room at Williams-Brice while he's on a visit at Carolina. Okay, so you want to know, you want to talk about some class and some culture and all that. If anybody should be upset, it's Shane Beamer with Stoops. And I don't know if there's a history between the two or not. I mean, hell, Shane was at Oklahoma where Bob Stoops walks around like a legend. So I don't know what the deal is there. But why take a shot at him and say it's stupid, when he's doing stuff to try to get his program going. And like I said, great. Kentucky's won 7 of 9 against the Gamecocks. Historically, that is an unprecedented run in this series. I'll remind everybody, not too long ago, the Gamecocks won 10 straight. I got respect for them, respect for their program, but I don't know that I would be sitting there, talking a bunch of smack with a 4-23 record against 3 teams and 3 programs that have not been their best, with the exception of Georgia, the last part of this decade, in your own division. That you have had every opportunity to pass and beat, and South Carolina's won, double +1 the amount of games against those teams. So if you really want to get that right into it and compare it, it's been more of a matchup situation game by game. Jake Bentley had a bad game in 18 up there. Last year the couldn't capitalize off the fumbles. I'm not saying they've been lucky, but it's not like they've been blowing Carolina's doors off. Chances are that's going to change. And so when it changes, I hope Beamer says nothing before the game, but I hope he goes out there and talks about culture after the Gamecocks win in Lexington this October.
JC, round of applause for that, my friend. I was going to say this too, because he's going to be asked about it. Do you expect Shane to respond in any way? I love the idea of preaching on culture, yes, after you get the W in the post-game presser, maybe pulling out some sunglasses and doing the whole post-game presser with shades on. Do you see Shane do playing into it and doing any type of back and forth with Stoops?
I think after the I don't see Shane doing anything until after the game, and I don't see him doing anything unless they win.
Yeah.
But they do. I don't think Shane Beamer is going to forget this because it was just so out of nowhere, and and maybe Shane knew about it because more and maybe somebody will ask him about it in his presser coming up or something, but. Marty McGee's like, a friend of his, so was Marty Smith. So maybe they tipped him off and it's already water under the bridge, and maybe he'll say that. But if not, because it was just so unsolicited from a program that, yes, from his history, and I don't mean to sound like Dabo Swinney in 2011 here at all. Because that's kind of the tone I'm taking. Remember when he was like, it's been a domination, Right. And then Carolina beat him 2 more times. I don't mean to sound like that. But for a program that's really not accomplished a whole lot, even within its own division, even though everybody talks about him, and for whatever reason, Chris Doering picked him to go 11-1, for a program that will not schedule outside of their comfort zone no matter what, even when Vanderbilt and the rest of the SEC will.
I love Chris Doering, but that prediction, man.
That was a little rough. I mean, picked them to beat Georgia.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So, from a program like that that's accomplished that little, to sit there and take a shot at a second-year coach who's overachieved, who's, trying to, get a program headed in the right direction, to sit there and talk, shoot down the core of what Shane. It's not just the sunglasses thing, Chris. Culture is one of the first things Shane Beamer mentioned. I want to make the premier culture in all of college football, and then to sit there and crap all over it and say you can change the climate with your stupid sunglasses, like that's all he's doing. I mean, how insulting is that to Luke Day? How insulting is that to Derek Moore? There's not a person in the Kentucky football building that has an ounce of the character, in my opinion, that Derek Moore does. And I think that highly of him. I doubt their strength staff's anywhere close to South Carolina's. I doubt their players have anywhere close to the fun that they have playing at South Carolina or the brotherhood or loyalty. Heck, did you see the game last year where the kid came off the sidelines and just basically shoved a damn videographer into the ground? Did you see that in the Kentucky game? It's of that viral clip.
I didn't see that. I actually did not see that.
Kentucky guy comes off the sidelines and just, excuse me, he's holding up, and then there's a videographer or a manager or something, and he just shoves him, and it's in there. It was during the Carolina game. Think about faking the injuries. I mean, they have faking injury rules now because of Kentucky, and look, man, whatever. I mean, whatever's bothering Mark Stoops, that's fine, but be careful. Don't try to light somebody else's house on fire when yours may be smoldering a bit. I don't think that's a good saying. I don't know what I was thinking there, but it's just completely out of left field. I mean, why? That's my question. Why?
Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you 110%. And it's, I heard it and I didn't get as upset as some. I just said, just go beat their ass on the field. If you can solve a lot of these problems by just beating their ass on the field.
And I was with you, Chris, and then I started kind of thinking about it, and then a guy that was on our show pulled up those notes about their actual record and what they actually have accomplished.
Yeah.
And then, my contacts within the league, around the league, the school that was, and look, South Carolina's on the let's stay at 8 SEC games train too. But the one school that was just raising hell about it was Kentucky. Now, South Carolina, they want to keep their series with Miami and NC State and North Carolina and all that, and that's great. And South Carolina has to play Clemson every year, okay? So I get it. Kentucky's raising hell because they want to continue. Their toughest game is Toledo, out of conference besides Louisville, for the next 10 years. They do have a tough road game at the Rubber Bowl in Akron. Fear the Zips. But, look, they are a fraud, okay? And yes, they've owned Carolina. Carolina has been owned by a fraud the last 9 years. And that doesn't last. So, keep chirping away, keep believing your press clippings. Go ahead and reinstate Chris Rodriguez after the 2 cupcakes you play. But the Gamecocks need to bring it on April 8th and bring it well in Commonwealth Stadium. I'm not even going to call it Kroger Field because of all this. And then we'll see at the end what happens.
I love it. JC, let's move to the recruiting side of things before we get you out of here. Obviously, a big day for Gamecocks recruiting as a prize prospect from Camden High School will make his announcement tonight. Xavier McLeod, the 4-star defensive lineman. What you're hearing on that side of things, I don't know if you and I, if our quote-unquote sources have the same information. I'm hearing positive things. And obviously no guarantees, but positive things on the Gamecock side of things and their chances to land him. Just everything you're hearing on Xavier McLeod and what type of pickup that would be for them if they do indeed get him.
Yeah, Xavier McLeod. Okay, so I wrote today, and then these are interesting stats. I looked it up. So since the class of 2019, the state of South Carolina has produced 8 defensive line prospects rated 4 stars or higher, which that'd be in that blue chip range, right? Mm-hmm. If McLeod comes to the Gamecocks, Carolina will have gotten 6 of them. The only 2 they did not get, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins and Justice Boone, which were in that 2021 class during the pandemic and the transition. Right. And I think at South Carolina, when you look back in the 90s, which were the really bad times, losing these talented D linemen to places like Tennessee and Florida State and Georgia and everywhere else, Notre Dame, whoever, that was a big problem. And I think South Carolina and Clemson both have kind of solved that. And that's a positive thing. And so this is another piece to the puzzle. Anytime you beat Georgia on a kid, I think that's a big deal. It'll, they're the defending national champs. South Carolina's also hit kind of a dry spell over the years at Camden High School, which it's one of those things that makes no sense because it's right there. But, you get a kid out of Camden, you get a kid out of Norman, that's reversing trends in this class. I've always had reason to believe he would end up at South Carolina. About 3 weeks ago, there was about 48 to 72 hours. I wasn't quite sure. But then I got some information that said, yeah, it's still going to happen. I've never wavered on that. Never had a reason to. I'm not dismissing anybody that's reporting anything else about Georgia or whatever, but just my intel on it has always been Carolina. So I I would be. I've been shocked before, and there are no locks in recruiting.
Certainly.
I covered it nationally. I lived through 2 Clemson situations where Rob Gronkowski went to Arizona at the last minute, and they thought he was coming to Clemson, and then Clemson thought they were getting Travian Robertson right before the night before, and then the Gamecocks got him, and so there was egg on the face with those guys in that market, and so I learned my lessons. I never say 100%, but I believe it will be South Carolina tonight.
6:30, that's when the announcement we made. JC, one last thing before I get you out of here. Of course, it came out today. I believe it was Steve Wilfong at 24/7. Nicholas Harbor, the 5-star, he will be making his official visit to South Carolina on September the 17th. Obviously, the kid is highly sought after by everybody, the top prospect in all the country. Just talk about the impact of getting him on campus, because I know you and I have discussed, and I've had conversations with guys like Brad Loing that have said, Chris, if you can get a guy on campus and more importantly to a game, especially you think of what game that will be, Carolina, Georgia, Willie B should be jumping. If you can get a prospect to Columbia for a game, you feel pretty confident in your chances of landing him. But just talk about that. Obviously, that coming out today, really, really big news on the recruiting side for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, first college football game his dad will have ever attended.
Wow,
How about
I didn't know
that?
Wow.
Gamecocks are in good shape there. They've got a lot to offer, Nicholas Harbor. I know LSU is another visit coming up. I would kind of watch them as a dark horse. They got another kid from D.C. as a DN committed. Brian Kelly, of course, has connections up there. They've got an excellent track program. Track is so important to this kid. But there's a lot. There's some confidence at South Carolina right now about Nicholas Harbor, especially if they get Desmond. I call him Desmond U because Umi Alazolo, something like that. At the end, that's so many kids from D.C. and Maryland that are high level that are becoming to Carolina. That's going to help with Harbor. I just think the Gamecock staff has played it the right way. Make them feel loved, make them feel appreciated, make them feel like people, because so many times you look at this guy, Chris, 6'5", 220, 10-1, 200 meter. The guy is an Olympian. He's going to be an Olympic track star, right? It's 6'5", 220. So many people are like, I've never seen a kid like this. He's the freakiest player since Derrick Henry nationally, as far as just being a freak athlete that I've seen. And we know Derrick Henry's a freak. So everybody's giving him a pitch. Got to get him. South Carolina is sort of treated him like a real person, which is what Shane Beamer's always going to do. And that's put him right there. The facilities. I'll mention name, image, and likeness because there are things internally at the university they can do now as far as connecting him with, deals. And his NIL deal is going to be different than some others because, I mean, who wouldn't want him associated with their brand? He's going to be an Olympian most likely. And so that's coming into focus and all that. Still got to get him. Still got to have him have a good visit. I'm a little concerned about the kickoff time, not because of the atmosphere, but because of the temperature. We know it's going to be hot, so hopefully they put him down on the field for 2001 and all that, and get him into getting his dad and him into an air-conditioned suite, and they can watch that game against the Bulldogs in the comfort zone rather than in a heat box or something. But I almost have not believed it, as things have progressed with him, but I believe it now. And I think that South Carolina's got just as good a chance as anybody. Will they get him? Who knows? But I do think they have a fighting chance with this guy, and that's all you want with a kid like that.
How much do you feel like a 8 or 9 win season would help in the efforts? I mean, I know that recruits don't care about on-field success, but at the same time, I feel like guys like that, they want to go play for programs that are on the up and up, that are showing promise of, playing at a really, really high level.
Yeah, it's helpful. Honestly, I mean, and what's more important? Okay, so I'll take you back to 2018, and that was Carolina had Georgia at home during the day. It was hot, great atmosphere. Obviously, by the time the third quarter came around, everybody's going and putting ice on their heads and going to the air conditioning. Not a super duper atmosphere to close that out for Will Muschamp and his group. I think it's important for there to be a big-time atmosphere while he's there for the Georgia game. And for the Gamecocks to stay in that game, quite frankly, because that can almost hurt worse than maybe having a 7-5 season. I've seen Carolina put together really good recruiting classes with 7-5 seasons, but the place was rocking every single weekend. Don't get blown out. That's basically it. Now, you start winning, you start becoming, a big storyline in college football, that kind of thing. Obviously, that's going to help. That's going to help your momentum and all that. Most of the time, guys already sort of have their mind made up before their final season starts. That's not the case with Nick Harbor. He's still kind of trying to figure things out. So with this guy specifically, it may mean more than, say, like a Xavier McLeod who's going to go ahead and commit tonight, or Montague Rames or Xavier Hardy or whoever. So I do think that with Harbor specifically, the better the Gamecocks are on the field, better the chances are, with the caveat that, hey, they don't have to go win the Sugar Bowl or anything to get this guy, right? I think they can get him still, but it would be awfully helpful if they had a big year.
JC Sherbert of Inside the Gamecocks, of course, of the Big Spur. You see his work all over social media. Joins us every single Thursday at 1:15. JC, appreciate you taking the time, my friend. Looking forward to doing it again next week, and looking forward to chatting with you guys tomorrow morning on your show. And I appreciate you having me. Appreciate you taking the time. And, yeah, man, excited for kickoff. It's just around the corner. So.
Yeah, 2 weeks, man, till we got 1 and then 2 and 3 more. 3 more. Well, not 2 more segments on yours. You got 3 more on mine, man. Yeah. And we'll be ready to roll. So thank you so much, Chris, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
JC, looking forward to it, man. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Great stuff. Hey, we ran right into basically 2 o'clock. No need for a break. No need for a break, folks. Again, appreciate you all tuning in. That was awesome, man. That was awesome. That was awesome. I loved that. JC Sherbert providing us with some fantastic insight. Loved the rant on Kentucky there. That was legendary. That was awesome. You can bet your ass there will be some clips from that a little bit later today. Guys, again, quick reminder, of course, tonight, Carolina Ale House in Augusta, Georgia. The TSUS tour rolls on. Podcast, of course, dropping tomorrow. We've already got that recorded. Believe it or not, we're talking Gamecocks tight ends. Gamecocks tight ends on the show. Rick Foreman says, nothing against your other guests. They are good, but this guy is by far my favorite guest of yours. Rick, hey, love to hear it. Listen, everybody has a favorite, right? Love to hear that. And listen, JC does a fantastic job. So appreciate JC Sherbert taking the time. Again, love the fact he comes on and brings his knowledge of the Gamecocks and his insights, and especially on the recruiting side. I will say that he brings that side of things that nobody else has, but also, again, a guy that's really, really in touch with South Carolina football and everything going on, the inner workings, all that good stuff. So we appreciate JC Sherbert taking the time. And I would highly suggest you tomorrow, I will tweet out the link and all that stuff, and they'll obviously have their link out. But 11:30, I will join him on his show, Inside the Gamecocks. You can watch that on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Again, we will share the link so you guys can check that out. But again, Luke RJ, thank you for the kind words. John Edwards says, to hell with Kentucky. Travis says that JC sounds like Tim Brando. I love it. Either way, it's a very fun segment. It's a blessing, man, to have these guests on each and every single day. Of course, tomorrow we will have Jake Crane on of Crane and Company. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to continue to grill Jake Crane on his prediction, his picks for his picks for South Carolina this year. Going to be a lot of fun. Jake's awesome. All of our guests are awesome, man. I appreciate them all taking the time, and I appreciate you all taking the time to tune in. Got a text from my guy John Strickland. Shout out, John. Fantastic Gamecock, obviously a legendary Gamecocks offensive lineman. Appreciate you, John, for the kind words. And yeah, we love having JC Sherbert on. Excited to have him on every single Thursday at 1:15. Do not forget. Guys, again, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We're at Carolina Ale House. Hope to see you out there. Stay tuned for the podcast tomorrow. Of course, content today and the rest of the weekend. Bleeding out the eyeballs, as always. Bleeding out the eyeballs as we creep closer and closer to kickoff. 16 days till toe meets leather. Let's freaking go. Guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you tonight at Carolina Ale House in Augusta, Georgia. Y'all take care.